Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Empower 2021. I am Eric Sugar. I'm the president at ProServeIT. I'm very excited to be here with everyone this afternoon. We had some great sessions earlier today from Ryan Walter, from Justin Spellhog, and several others, with one more keynote to go left from Andrea towards, I think, the 3 o'clock time slot. So really looking forward to today. I'm here today to chat about technology roadmaps, and very excited to share kind of the strategy, why it's important, how it can help you as a business, and really help drive the direction between strategy and technology as we look at your organizations. So we'll kick it off here. I'd love to get some interactivity in the session. And from that perspective, if you can all go to the link that Holly's going to post for us in the chat, and you can also get to it by scanning that QR code. We'll have some questions that we'll ask everyone throughout the session, and as we gather those questions, we'll also provide the results back to everyone. So as an anonymized result category, we'll share that back so that everyone can see that. Again, I'm Eric Sugar. I'm the president at ProServeIT. Please jump into our poll at pollev.com/PSIT700, and you can also use the QR code on your mobile device to scan and get to the same link. So with that, I will tell you a bit about how I look at roadmaps and how I see technology. And if you have questions, please drop them in the Q&A at any point in time. We'll either get to them during the session or get to them at the end of the session. So in my mind, technology really is all about how do we translate technology to business. So technology can be presented as very complex, and it's something that we should be able to make very simple and straightforward for everyone to understand and consume. From that perspective, I like to really describe technology as a house, and every house has rooms. We all have rooms that we love, and we have rooms that we need to fix up or renovate, but all houses have a foundation, and the foundation is, in a technology perspective, should always be security. If we're not doing things securely, we're going to run into big problems. We're going to have data breaches. We're going to lose information. We're going to create risk to our brand and risk to both our cause and our donors. So security is fundamental and foundational to everything that we do in the technology space. After that, we have rooms like productivity. We have rooms like business applications, departmental applications, core infrastructure. And if we start to think of productivity as the bathroom, or productivity as the kitchen, when we look at the kitchen, is the kitchen in good shape? Do we want to change anything? Do we need to help our teams work a little faster? Would a new dishwasher help the team be more efficient? So as we start to think about renovations, we can really translate the technology from saying we want to upgrade these servers or these systems to say we need to have the best productivity room out of all not-for-profits globally. And that's kind of a super exciting way to look at it. We then move up on top of the house to the second floor, and that's user experience or brand experience. And this is really how are we perceived externally and what do our tools tell about us? So super important to understand every time we interact with people with technology, we're giving them a flavor, we're giving them a hint of how we behave and what technology we use. And then the very top of the house, which to me is the most interesting piece, is insights and automation. So how can we become action-oriented with our data? How can we become automated with our data? And insights and automation allow us to spend more on our cause and less on technology, or spend more on our cause and less on processes that are manual and provide very little value to the charity or not-for-profit. So with that, I'll activate the second question, which is, what is one way that your technology provides a competitive advantage to your cause? So that question should be active. Again, pollev.com/PSIT700. You should have a second question active on your polling. As we go through the poll, what is a technology roadmap? So I'm describing technology roadmaps as the process to align strategy and business goals. So from a cause perspective, we have many not-for-profits work with us. Some of them have very lofty growth targets or very lofty cause targets where they want to double the number of people they impact in a 24-month period, or they want to double the number of people they support in at-risk communities. They often say, okay, here's how we're going to get the fundraising, here's how we're going to get the people. The technology is often left behind and said, and no one thinks, okay, can our technology support double our cause? If we now support 10,000 people instead of 5,000 people, do our technology stacks today support that, or do we need to invest to make sure that our technology can support it? So super important to look at technology and say, a technology roadmap is the process to deliver a long-term strategy that allows technology to meet all the business desires and business goals. And the concept of innovation and change, if you don't believe you're not-for-profit as a technology business, I think you're at risk of becoming the next Blockbuster, the next Kodak. So technology businesses or technology strategies are needed by everyone. If we don't have them, we're at risk to the next cause who figures out a way to support your constituents better than you are today using technology. So every business has a technology component to them now. And I often see people say, well, we're not really a technology business. We help children at risk. Well, how are you helping those children at risk? And what's enabling you to do that? Or we help provide housing for at-risk families. Okay, you have housing, but how do you manage that housing? What technology is supporting that? Could you do more with less if you have technology that enables you to run through that? So I think there's a couple examples there. Blockbuster, we all know they got beat up by Netflix. Blockbuster had all the bits and pieces to beat Netflix. They just missed out on capitalizing. They didn't see around the corner, and they weren't looking future forward to understand what could we be and what does our future look like. Kodak invented the digital camera, and then they put it on a shelf and said the digital camera will disrupt our film business. They didn't recognize that their business was the picture and imaging business, not the film business. So as we look to technology and try to understand how does technology help us, how does technology enable us, think about what other causes are around you or adjacent to you, and what if they change their viewpoint on technology? How could that allow them to, again, increase their donor wallet share, find new donors who believe in the technology vision to support their cause? I think that's really important. I'll activate the next question in our poll, and that's, what way does your technology today have a barrier to your business success? So where is technology getting stuck, or where is technology causing people, process, activities to slow down or fail? And how do we now start to think about what could we do to fix that? So these are all thinking exercises to help us drive to what would it feel like if every time you turned around, technology was your business partner, giving you a high five saying, we're ready for this new activity, we're ready for this new initiative, we've already built the platform, we've already enabled you to go and deliver this new campaign or this virtual event. And we've helped many not-for-profits this year deliver virtual events where they were surprised they didn't think they could. They didn't recognize they had the technology, the skill set, the people, and all we had to do is sprinkle a little bit of education onto their people and look at that from here's what you can do with the technology you have without spending more money. And we'll continue down our path today. So here's the process that we typically use on, let's say, 90% of our roadmaps. And it's a four-step process that we are involved with hundreds of businesses a year in this process. We do some, the business does some, they may outsource some to someone else. But I think if you understand the process and work through it, and you very strictly follow the process, you get to a very repeatable outcome and a very predictable outcome. So discovery is the first step of the process, and this is really executive interviews where someone sits with your top executive team, maybe even your board of directors, to understand where is the organization going, what is the not-for-profit's goal, how are you going to support your constituents and community over the next 3 to 5 years, and what are your kind of concerns, what are your stumbling blocks, what is technology doing that's awesome, needs to double down, where does technology need some help or coaching to grow to meet the needs of the business. There's a review component, so pulling all this data together. So if there's 15 or 20 interviews or 10 interviews, pull that data together, consolidate it. Once it's consolidated, do a true technology assessment, and do a process assessment to understand, do you have the right tools? Because sometimes we don't have the right tools. Sometimes we have tools that aren't designed for us. Sometimes we have tools that don't match up to where we're going. Sometimes our people need training, so we need to educate the team members we have who are supporting us. After we do the review and we pull all that information together, we get to a recommendation phase. This is typically bundled into must-dos, should-dos, and could-dos. And must-dos are things that typically have a dire business impact. So if your data is not being backed up on a nightly basis and you're at risk of losing data, there's a must-do is you must go and implement proper backup strategies to ensure that your data is protected, and if you had a failure, you're able to recover. Another example of a must-do is we don't have proper email protection, and we have risks of phishing attacks that are very easily addressed by current technology that's very inexpensive. The must-do would be implement the anti-phishing technologies based in Microsoft 365 to ensure that we don't lose our identities, we don't become an identity theft vector for all of our donors. So there's a couple of recommendations on the could-do side. It would be something like building out a mobile app for your volunteers to help your volunteers have access to all the right data, or building out a portal for your volunteers to make sure they have access to all the right data as they're supporting people in your community. And actions, it's really building a timeline chart and understanding, here are the 15 projects we have over 3 years, here's the business outcome we want to achieve, here's how, if we action and complete these 15 projects over 3 years, we're going to be a spot where we can support 10,000 constituents as opposed to 5,000 constituents. So there's the rough ready process. Again, there's more to it than that. This is kind of a 20-minute snapshot of what would be an 8 to 12-week exercise for most customers. So where I go back to the house, here's what we often see when we look at technology. We're often very frustrated that projects are over budget, projects are not providing the business outcomes they described, they're kind of half there, half not. It's a construction site that's constantly in flux. And this dilapidated house, to me, always really kind of punches home the thought that technology shouldn't be like this. Technology really needs to drive us to a business outcome. It has to be business value add. Technology should be measured. So every time we look at technology or go to spend $1, we want to know, what are we getting for that dollar? What's a return, and when should we expect that return? And that leads us to the next question in our survey, which is, how do you measure your spend on technology? And how do you measure ROI? So again, really interesting to see how people are measuring this. All this data will be shared back out through the Empower platform after the session, after the data has been collated from the surveying. But if this is how you feel about technology, I would challenge you that there's a gap between business and technology. So the business is saying they need something and technology is not hearing them, or they don't feel they have the resources to properly support the business. And this is ideally what your house starts to look like. So we want everyone's house framed up. We want the rooms square, the walls solid. We want that really deep foundational piece for our small business or our small size charities. We want to look at Microsoft 365 for business, not for profit businesses. For our larger ones, it's the Microsoft 365 Enterprise Suite that we want to look to help them secure all of their data, secure their information. I know Jamie talked earlier today about Alarm Guardian. How do we put an alarm in the house, so the Ring alarm system, so that every room is protected and you have proactive alerting? And then we want to map out, and this is one of the things you get if you do a roadmap, is map out all of the current state. So what applications do you have? Do you have Blackbaud? Do you have DocuSign or Sign Now? Do you have Stripe? Are you using 3 tools for collaboration? So do you have Zoom and Teams and WebEx? Maybe we can save you a little bit of money consolidating down to a single one. A key component as we do this interview and what we're trying to map out is, what are your strengths, weaknesses, and threats relative to technology? So again, as we think about your technology, it's what are your SWTs? Once we document all of your SWTs, and this comes from that interview process where we're hearing people talk through things, we can then get to what are your opportunities. But this also gives you a tool you can take back to your board and say, hey, I'm really concerned. We have these 5 strengths. High five, let's keep doing more. We have these 5 threats. We need to address them, and we don't have either the budget, the funding, or the know-how. So this is a great way to think about technology. And really to, again, translate it and make it very simple. Technology really is about people and process and technology. Everything we do in technology is all about those 6 boxes. And what we want to educate all of our customers, everyone we work with, to understand is, how do we manage this? How do we support this? And what can we do to optimize each of these boxes? And the more you optimize these boxes, the faster you can get technology just 5 steps ahead of the organization. Think about a digital toolbox. So every tool you use should have a spot in your digital toolbox, and that digital toolbox should sit in your garage and should be highly organized. So if you have 150 different tools and you're 30 people, you're probably on the tight side and you probably have too many pieces of technology for what you're doing. So here's a quick technology roadmap checklist. So again, as you're going through this, or if you try to kind of work through this on your own, do you have compatible technology? Is your data controlled and protected? Do you have reliability and security? And are you always in control? Do you have the ability to move when you want to or need to? A couple of quick myths as we round this up. We don't need a technology plan. If you're not thinking through this, someone else is. We can do it ourselves. I equate this to going to the doctors for my annual physical. I cannot self-diagnose. It's not what I'm good at. I'm not going to proclaim to be a doctor. Same with technology. If you're not a technologist, you probably need help, and going to an outside source lets other people in the organization respond differently. They're not afraid of hurting someone's feelings. Technology not critical to business. I spoke about that one early in the session. I don't see value. Again, I'm back to, if you don't see value in technology, someone's going to see that value and beat you to the punch. And we're too busy. We're always going to be busy, and if technology is not a priority, it's going to become a stumbling block. You're going to end up with that broken down, dilapidated house. To help everyone in their journey, I'm big on books. I love to read. So I had 3 book recommendations for everyone in the group. The Phoenix Project, the Unicorn Project, and Amazon Management System. These are all ways for people to help think about technology and help them kind of get a grasp on the type of processes we're using. So again, highly recommend people reading these 3 books if you have time, if you love books. There's a cloud transformation checklist that I'll share as well. And the last poll I've put up there, if anyone's interested in a small group, 90-minute workshop on technology roadmaps, they're limited to 12 people, please sign up now. Please punch your email addresses in. I'd love to spend an hour or 90 minutes with a group of 12 of you to help plan for your technology roadmap. But here's a set of cloud transformation checklists that I think can help people as they go down this journey. And I think I'm at time, but I'll open it up for a couple of quick questions. I think we got about 1 or 2 minutes left. And someone asked, can you share your favorite tech roadmap design tool? So my favorite design tool right now, the 2 of them that I use the most would be Visio and RoadMonk. So it depends on what you have access to, but Visio and RoadMonk let you plot and place all of your roadmap bucket items in. And again, each of those buckets you have or create should have a budget and a time bound to it. And with that, I'm not seeing any more. Oh, one more question just popped in. These presentations are all recorded and they're all available in the Empower platform probably sometime next week. So we got to do a little bit of editing, cleaning up, but all recordings are available. And with that, I will say thank you very much. I hope you have an amazing Empower 2021 and look forward to seeing you throughout the afternoon and hopefully at Andrea's keynote. Thanks. Bye.